fix the problem. If you stumble on this video and you have no clue what's going on, I would recommend you watch part 1 of this 2-part series. In part 1, we talked about how to make your vocals sound really cinematic in any of the dialogue that you might have recorded. If you've already got that covered and you don't need to check that out, although I would recommend it, you can just watch this part where we talk about what I call boominess. There's this boominess frequency that's happening in the dialogue that I'm trying to get rid of, and I got to go through a sweeping process, and I'm going to show you how to do that here. But if you decide not to do part 1, then just assume that me unplugging this thing was the right thing to do. So
I shot my first feature and have worked with people like Sean Hannity and Jamie Kennedy. Now I help others figure it out. Let's go. Now I'm going to go into my effects and I'm going to type in parametric. Parametric equalizer is what we're looking for. I'm going to drop that on there. Now it adds it automatically to the bottom. You're going to want to put it at the very top. This is affecting everything underneath it. Let me listen to the audio before we mess with the parametric equalizer and you can hear the boominess that I'm talking about. He decides to face the monster, taking us straight into the second act or the rising action to the climax. So some people might say that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I think we can do better.
I got this. What are you doing?
This is very similar to what we just saw on the 10-band equalizer. And the difference here in the parametric equalizer is you can pretty much select any frequency along this spectrum as you want. So we're going to click on this high pass to basically cut out any of this low stuff. You don't really need it because it's beyond the vocal range. You can actually pump it up to about 80 hertz. The low pass, bring that in because this is beyond the highs of a human voice. This is in like dog whistle territory. You know, well, humans can't hear it, but dogs start barking. I'm going to pull out this one first channel here. You're going to sweep this frequency band. So the first step you will do is bring it over, bring your one, you can either drag it over or you can just pull it over by sliding this. You're going to increase the decibel rate to the 35 range or so. The reason I do this is because what we're doing is we are increasing this particular frequency beyond the rest of the frequency. So you'll start hearing these frequencies stand out. And what we do is we sweep along this total band here and you'll start hearing pinging noises coming out. And those are the things that we're going to try to get rid of. So let's just go ahead and do playback. Decides to face the monster. You can already hear the booming into the second act or the rising action to the climax. Later, there is some exposition in the form of the characters putting pieces together from an experience that happens. You hear that noise there? The beginning of the story. It's really annoying. So we are totally in the dark. And these annoying sounds sometimes are interpreted as, oh, this audio levels are too high. But it's actually not too high. And because you're like, but I really still can't understand what they're saying. It's because there's a frequency that is hurting people's ears. And so they misinterpret that as, oh, it's too high. The audio volume, the decibel level is too high. I'm going to go ahead and start bringing down frequencies. But what I'll do is I'll focus on this area here because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Let's see. Bruno. He decides to face the monster, taking us straight into the second act or the rising action to the climax. Later, there is... Okay, so that one's pretty decent. So what I'll do is I'm going to negative 15 decibels, and I'm bringing that frequency all the way down. He decides to face the monster, taking us straight into the second act or I'm already hearing a massive difference just from that one frequency being taken away. But you can tell that it's not actually affecting the voice at all. There is some exposition. I still hear a little bit of something in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take number 2 and I'm going to do the process all over again. So you're just going to keep doing this process until you feel like you've found all the offensive noises. And do this before you start editing. That's another ninja tip that I'm going to share with you. You need to do this before you start editing, because if you start cutting up your footage and then you start this audio process and trying to lay a foundation, you're going to have to do it for each clip that you've done.
Way to go, idiot!
If you do it from the very beginning when you have the entire clip still intact, you're only doing it one time. You're slicing it up into your final edit, and all of those changes will carry over into all of those edits. So don't make that mistake where you forget to do your audio until the end of your edit session, because that'll take forever. Hey, if you guys are getting value out of this tutorial, if you could just poke the like button for me, that really helps the analytics and for other people to be able to find me. If they're having audio issues, I want to be able to help them out. That's what this is about, right? We're trying to help people in whatever way that we can. In the form of the characters, a nice little ring together from an experience that happens prior to the beginning of the story. So we aren't totally in the dark. Bruno. He decides to face the monster, taking us straight into the second act or the rising action to the climax. Okay, I'm just gonna, it's not a severe one, but I'm gonna take it out anyway, because I've got three more that I can use, and I don't think I'm gonna even need them all. Climax. Later, there is some exposition in the form of the characters putting pieces together from an experience that happens. You know, I'm really happy with that. And this is a very subjective process. So if you guys find that your audio needs more work than this, then I say just keep grinding away till you get exactly what you're hoping for, and then have somebody listen to it. Everybody hears things slightly different because we all have experienced environmental impacts to our hearing. And so sometimes being able to get like a second or third opinion can be valuable, especially if you're making a feature film. You're like, did I take too many frequencies out because something's wrong with my hearing, and that kind of thing. You know, using good speakers is also very helpful to use rather than just your computer speakers, because sometimes if you play it through like an actual sound system, that sort of thing, then you might end up not being able to hear certain things, or you're like, wow, that frequency is way louder in these speakers because I'm hearing it in its purest form because these are nicer speakers, not like the crappy ones that I have in my computer. So, hey, I hope you guys found this helpful. Like I said, if you guys could share this video with your friends and let them know about the channel, that'd be awesome. You know, any of the recommended equipment that we use here in the studio is also listed down in the show notes below. So feel free to go down there, and there isn't any additional cost to you guys. It just helps the channel out. So we really appreciate you guys just kind of being here and supporting us by watching our videos, and we will see you guys next time.